Today, in India, more than 75% are non-Muslims. 75%. If we Muslims wanted at that time, we could have forced every non-Muslim to accept Islam at the point of the sword. We didn't do it. If we had done that, there wouldn't have been more than 75% non-Muslims. These 75% non-Muslims of India, they are giving shahada, they are bearing witness that Islam was not spread by the sword. At that time when we ruled India for 1,000 years, the Muslims that they wanted, they could have forced every non-Muslim to accept Islam. But they didn't do it. Because Islam does not give permission. Islam says, "La ikraha fid din," there is no compulsion in religion. Truth stands out clear from error. So these more than 75% non-Muslims of India today are giving shahada. They are bearing witness that Islam wasn't spread by the sword. Which Muslim army went to Indonesia today? According to statistics, Indonesia has the maximum number of Muslims in one country. According to India, about 229 million Muslims in Indonesia, or 39 or 240 million. In India, the government says 215 million, 14.3%. According to me, it's much more than 280 million. More than 20% are Muslims. But even if you agree, so Indonesia, which is theoretically supposed to be the country which has maximum number of Muslims in the world, I'm asking you a question. Which Muslim army went to Indonesia? Which Muslim army went to Malaysia? Which Muslim army went to the east coast of Africa? Which sword? The businessmen went there to do business. When they did business, they preached the religion and people accepted Islam. Which army went to Indonesia? Which army went to Malaysia? Which army went to Gambia? Which army went to the east coast of Africa? To Senegal? Later on the Britishers come and they play games. So these countries are giving shahada that Islam was not spread by the sword. Which sword? Thomas Carlyle, he writes in his book, Heroes and Hero Worship, that you should first get your sword. Every new idea initially begins in the mind of one. In one man, in the full world alone. And if one man alone propagates and picks up the sword, it will be no benefit. First you have to get the sword. Which sword is Thomas Carlyle talking about? He's talking about the sword of the intellect. I started my talk by quoting a verse of the Quran of Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse 125. He says, "Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal mu'azzatil hasna wajadun billati ahsan." Invite all to the way of their Lord with wisdom and way of preaching, and argue with them and reason with them in the ways that are best, most gracious. It's the sword of the intellect. It's not the sword of steel. Even if we had the sword of steel, we could not use it. Allah says in Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse 256, "La ikraha fid din," there's no compulsion in religion. Truth stands out clear from error. Anyone who holds and grasps the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will take you from darkness to light. There's no compulsion in religion. It is the sword of intellect, sword of hikmah. And today, we find that the fastest growing religion in the world today, in America, it's Islam. The fastest growing religion in Europe is Islam. And if you read the Reader Digest Almanac Yearbook of 1984, and this article was repeated in the Plain Truth magazine, it gave the increase in the major world religion in a span of 50 years, from 1934 to 1984. And that article said the maximum increase in religion in this 50 years was Islam, 235%. Christianity, only 47%. I'm asking you the question, which war took place in these 50 years from 1934 to 1984, which converted or increased the number of Muslims all over the world? Which war? 235%. Islam, only 47%. That means 5 times more. 5 times. 47 multiply by 5. It's 235. Islam spread 5 times more than Christianity in the 50 years. Which war took place in these 50 years which forced non-Muslims to become Muslims?